I'm Natalia Bonner. Welcome back. I am so excited to be here today and share this really fun design with you. So this is a design that I'm quilting on the sashing for my class sample, my new class, Let's Stitch Snowballs. So this class is a part of my year-long series, Let's Stitch a Year Quilt Blocks, where throughout the whole entire year, I am teaching you 156 new quilt block designs. But in February specifically, we are going to be focusing on snowballs. So in this class, I'll teach you 12 different ways to machine quilt this awesome snowball block. But today, let's just focus on the sashing. So to quilt out this design, you will need my mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler and also my mini inside out machine quilting ruler. You don't need to do any marking to quilt out this design. You'll just need a great 2.5-inch sashing, your machine quilting ruler. I'm going to be using some awesome sew fine thread on the top and bottom line thread on my bobbin. The batting that I'm using is 1 layer of the Quilter's Dream Poly Deluxe batting. And the sample, I am quilting on a panel that I did pick up from Honest Fabrics. I do all my quilting on a Gammill 22-inch machine, and I do have my stitch length set at 12 stitches per inch. So let's hop over to my machine and let's get stitching.
Wait. I need you guys to do one thing before you hop into the video. Hit that like button because it'll turn blue. And hit that subscribe button, it'll turn gray, I think. And watch to the end, there's a little surprise. And hit that bell notification so you get to know whenever we post.
Here I'm going to stitch out this fun design between 2 blocks. So my blocks are 12-inch blocks and my sashing is 2 inches. I'll start out in the bottom point of my first block and I'm going to stitch point to point. So right to the center of my block in my sashing, I'll stitch that first curve and then my second one right up to the top. When I get to the top, then I'm going to stitch across the top of that sashing. And then I'm going to stitch 2 of those curves coming back down to the bottom. From there, I'll stitch in the ditch back up to the top of that block. So now I've completed the sashing and the stitch in the ditch between the 2 blocks. Now let's stitch that same design, the length of my quilt or the width of my quilt. I actually have this quilt loaded sideways on my machine. I'll start out using the mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler and I'm going to quilt 2 scallops. From there, I'll stitch a 3rd line across my block. So this is where my cornerstone would be. And I'll stitch a curved line across to the opposite side, then back to where I started. But I don't want to stitch a straight line. So now I'm actually going to travel back along my original stitch line and stitch 2 of those scallops across the top of the next 2 blocks. Now when I get to the next intersection, the next cornerstone point, I'll repeat that process, stitching a curved line up to the top. This time though, I just switched and went right into stitching those point-to-point curves using the mini inside out machine quilting ruler. Now again, I'll switch, stitch the 1 curved line down to the next bottom side. And then I'm going to use the mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler and stitch 2 more of those scallops. So I've worked my way all the way across 4 blocks. Now I work best moving my machine from left to right. So I'm actually going to stop, cut my threads, and move back over to the left side of the quilt. Now we're going to finish off this simple scallop design by, again, basically repeating the same process, just stitching on the opposite side. So we'll start with the mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler and stitch 2 point-to-point curved lines crossing over my previous stitch line. Now at my intersection, I'll stitch a curve to the opposite corner, and then I'll switch and use my mini inside out machine quilting ruler and go right into that next set of those scallops. Now by stitching out this design this way, I am not completing my cornerstone design. I will come back and complete those cornerstone designs in a minute. So I'll continue on stitching those curved lines, 2 of the scallops across the top of the block, Then adjust the mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler, stitch up to the next block, switch back to the mini inside out machine quilting ruler, and stitch 2 more of those scallops, completing this section of sashing between those 4 blocks. Now I want to finish off those cornerstones. So I am going to finish off those cornerstones by starting out on the left side of the quilt again, stitching in the ditch across my block until I get to that first intersection. Then from there, I'm going to stitch up to the top, travel back down my previous stitch line, and then continue on with my stitch in the ditch work. When I get to the next corner or intersection, I'm going to repeat that process. So I'll stitch a point-to-point curve, then I'll stitch down my stitch line using my machine quilting rulers. This does require a little bit more skill, a little bit of stitching right on top of your previous stitch line. Now there are ways you could stitch this design, as you went, as you quilted each block. I just wanted to complete the design as I stitched out this portion of my sashing. So I'll continue on repeating that process, completing those cornerstones on that sashing design. I hope you all found just a little bit of inspiration from this fun little video. If you do want to learn how to quilt these awesome snowball quilt blocks, I have a full class where I'll teach you 12 different ways how to machine quilt a snowball quilt block. Have a great day, everybody.
What I did the golfer take extra pair of socks to the golf course in case he got a hole in one.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, come close to me. And smile. Be cute. Be like.
I was doing that.
When I talk, be like. You can do funny things like that. Probably not quite that.